How you doing? Welcome to Bible Strength and Air Guns. This is the Old Lomo Strength Training Channel. Spring Piston Air Rifle Fever. I have 390 on the bar for deadlifting. I'm going to do it for a double. I've been training 6 days a week. I'm going to read a little bit out of a Milo magazine and a Bible verse for the day. I'm going to read a little bit about my training, on what he was doing, and considering increasing my exercises on what I'm doing right now. Time to move the bar fast. Not fast as I'd like to. Maybe I should have one more warm-up set in there. Got this bright light behind me. Maybe I should shut that off. That window too. Anyhow. Since it's Bible Strength and Air Guns, I'm going to read the Bible. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, 21 through 25. For after that, the wisdom of God, the word by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. For the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. But we preach Christ crucified to the Jews, a stumbling block unto the Greeks, foolishness. But to them which are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God, because the foolish of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. The weakness of God is stronger than men. The foolishness of God is wiser than men. I'm sorry, this looks so... It looks so foggy. Maybe I will try sitting here. I don't know if I can get in trouble from reading out of old issues of Milo. I paid for it though, and this is the type of stuff Milo. Dinosaur training, things like that I devoured. It didn't really teach me a whole lot of new, but it's good to fuel your fire on. So we're going to read a little bit about adaptability from Anthony Ditillo. And this is the Hispanic Anthony Ditillo, not the white guy. This guy's a powerlifter, weightlifter too. I know there's a white guy that's on YouTube. I've looked trying to find this guy, but this guy might have passed away, far as I know. This will take a few minutes. I'm not going to read the whole thing. He says, but perhaps getting ahead of my story, in July of 1974, I began training with a good friend of mine who at one time was quite an accomplished Olympic lifter, Desi. I think his name was Desi Ban. And I began intensive 6-day-a-week training routine which lasted a year long. See, I'm training 6 days a week right now. It was during this time that he began sharing his training philosophies, exercises, etc. with me, and to say he helped me tremendously is putting it mildly. Desi had lifted over 20 years, and when you realize that knowledge such a lifetime of work creates, you learn to listen and watch such a man carefully. It was during this particular time, through various conversations, I learned Desi had used the law of adaptability. I was thinking about this a lot because a lot of people, he's going to talk about this in here, a lot of people only train once, or train, not once, 2 or 3 times a week. So he'll get into this here. And I was thinking about that with lifting heavy weights. I learned Desi had used this law of adaptability without ever consciously being aware of it. At least he didn't make too much out of it and seemed to use it as though everyone knew of its existence. He thought just everybody knew that everybody should train every day, and everybody did. He told me that when he was a competitive lifter, he pressed every day. He did standing presses of some form every day. Various pulls, squats, and lunges, etc. were done every day after day, until unrecoverable fatigue set in. So until he couldn't recover anymore, then he had to take a break. Then and only then, 3 days or so were taken off from working out, and the result was you were stronger afterwards, the short rest. This enabled you to continue with the everyday training until nature would once again step in and literally force you to rest. I trained using my coach's advice for the most part 5 days a week on the following movements: presses, high pulls, shrugs, possibly some power snatches. I also included, whenever I felt like it, full high bar on the neck, back completely straight Olympic squats. Most of these movements were done in sets of 3 to 5 repetitions, working up to a maximum poundage for the day. It seemed that after 2 weeks work, the limit sets were increased and progress was slow but steady, and you were psychologically secure as to where you were strength-wise. So you know where you are strength-wise. That's exactly where I'm at right now. I know where I'm at strength-wise. The need to psych up for a workout limit lift was no longer necessary. That's me. I don't need no psych up. I get tight and I do it. This was because your body is slowly adapting to the workload you are putting on it, and get it to the point where you can recuperate overnight. It seems more rational to me to condition the body to accept workload on a daily basis than the 2 or 3 times a week method of operation or training. Let me try to break this point down some more. For easier understanding, most trainees will hit a muscle group most severely twice a week. In other words, each muscle group is subject to many sets and repetitions using medium, heavy, and heavy weights twice a week. The severity of such exercise requires 72 hours of rest for recuperation, removing of lactic acid, and finally growth. Naturally, if you tried to work the same muscle group every day, you would lose strength and undergo great physical and emotional trauma by the way of soreness and tiredness, at least through the first 3 weeks. But I guarantee, this is where he interjects, but I guarantee if your diet is adequate and you fully support your diet with additional supplements, and if you discover the correct training load for each movement each day, you'll overcome the trauma and your body will recuperate overnight. So I stepped into my program not super heavy. I stepped into my program medium heavy. I almost redlined, probably a little heavier than what I should have, but this program is definitely doable. You think about it. You hear stories about people who are tree cutters, or somebody who works for a tree cutter for the summer. I remember one kid in high school. He worked for a tree cutter, and he came back and he was gigantic across his shoulders. He was lifting logs all the time. He lifted logs every day. He lifted logs probably 5 or 6 days a week. So don't tell me that you can't squat 5 and 6 days a week, or at least 6 days a week, and deadlift 6 days a week, and bench press 6 days a week. I mean, if these guys can do it and your body can adapt to it, it can be done. Question, comment, like, subscribe. You have a great Friday and workout.